Howdy folks, Dreadshells here, and welcome back to World of Tanks. I have another SP1C game to show you guys today, this game being on Murovanka, standard mode from the south spawn, and we are in a tier 10 game. Now, I've been playing my SP1C a lot over the last month or so, for two main reasons. One is I kind of have this weird goal in World of Tanks, a long-term goal, to get over 1,000 battles played in every scout tank in World of Tanks, which of course will, when the tier 10 scouts get released in the next patch or so, maybe in a month and a half or 2 months, I'm not sure when, that will be a lot more battles that I need to play. But also the other reason is that the SP1C, I'm kind of worried about that it will be not as competitive in the tiering that it will be. It will be moved up to a tier 8 tank, and I believe it will be losing its autoloader gun. From the last stats that I checked, I could be wrong on that. If I am, please let me know in the comments, but the last time I checked, those were the information that I was reading at the time. So, in my opinion, the autoloader is what makes this tank. It has a really punchy gun. Of course, the single shotgun is pretty respectable as well. It has a little bit better gun handling, and of course, you don't have to go through a longer reload. But I don't know, maybe it's just my playstyle, but I think that the SP1C is so slow for a scout. It only has 58 kilometers top speed, and its horsepower to ton ratio isn't that great. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. It's in the low 20s, which isn't very good for a scout tank. And the fact that you're so slow, you can't really chase shots, so to say, as in with the single shotgun, and maximize the DPM, that the better DPM and the better gun handling, in my opinion, of that gun. And the autoloader just makes you able to take advantages of shots of opportunity a lot better than the single shotgun, in my opinion, where in certain situations you're able to put in 2 shots with the autoloader, whereas the single shotgun would allow you only to put in 1 shot, as it is with all autoloader guns compared to the single shots. But the pen on the gun is really good for a tier 7, 180, and the heat is 250, which is really good as well for penetration, although I do prefer APCR for premium ammo as opposed to heat, because heat is okay, but the problem with heat is that when you're shooting at spaced armor, like the front of a Super Pershing, or the side track armor, spaced armor like the side of an IS-3, heat has a tendency to get eaten by spaced armor. So APCR is better in that kind of situation, I think, than heat. APCR is a little bit more of a flexible type of premium round. But anyway, I rambled too much in the last video, I think, in my opinion, so I'm just going to do a play-by-play commentary in this game. We are in a tier 10 game on Murovanka, so let's just get started. Now, normally what I would do in Scout, and I'm thinking about doing it here, but you'll see that I'll change my mind looking at where my team is going, and specifically my platoon, top tier platoon here, is that normally I would go over here to F7 and E7 and spot the enemy dispersion into the forest, get a little bit of vision here on the 6th line and see, and also any enemy tanks that might be opposing me on this E line ridge here in E6 and E7. However, they have an AMX-30, a Batchet, a T-55A, a CDC, and a WZ-131. That is way too much firepower for me to be potentially facing on that ridge with not much support. And the enemy CDC decides to YOLO into the center gully here at the start of the game for some weird reason. Really bad shot on my part, my first shot in my clip, a really bad auto-aim shot. The turret traverse, while not bad, is kind of average for this tank, and he was moving at a good speed, and we were at opposing traverses, so I should have manually aimed those shots. So I unfortunately missed my first shot on the CDC, but RNG gives it right back to me when my third and final shot, I light him on fire, and he burns all the way to death, because for some reason the CDC doesn't believe in fire extinguishers. I guess. So right now I'm moving in here. The main reason that I'm moving in here to try and put pressure here on the 2-3 line is I'm looking at the mini-map here, and the enemy have a ton of tanks here in the forest, which means that we probably outnumber them over here on the western side of the map. We get a side shot here on the Tiger, and we get an incredible ammo rack for 1720 damage. Oh, that's so satisfying. I haven't had a good ammo rack in a long time, and it's kind of funny because, you know, I get even more XP for it because the Tiger's 2 tiers higher than me, so that was a really, really nice chunk of damage to get. I haven't had a good ammo rack on a tank in a long time, mainly because you don't get them very often with scouts. Because of the caliper of the gun, they don't do as much module damage per shot to enemy tanks' ammo racks as compared to the higher caliber guns of your heavy tanks or your tank destroyers. But that's just my opinion on that. I could have and probably should have stuck around to shoot the side of the E75 maybe once more, or maybe even twice. What I could have done there is I could have looked to my right quickly and see which way the STRV-103 was looking, and I would have seen that I would have had a shot be able to shoot the E75 relatively safely one more time. Once again, make the same mistake that I did with the CDC and really lazy auto-aim shot on a target that has really fast traverse on me, and my first shot misses, but I get a lot of good support from my tier 9 bat chat, and we were able to kill the WZ-131. Bad mistake, me trying to start to climb the 3-line ridge there while I was still spotted from our encounter with the WZ-131, and T-55A was able to put a shot into the back of me from across the middle town area, probably over here in E7 or F7, somewhere in there. This is where he shot me from. But I've been trying to help push this side of the map as best I could, because I know that the enemy team were inevitably going to win this. They outnumbered our team over here, and they outpositioned them. They were starting to flank our enemy tanks that were over here through the 7 and the 8 lines, and it was only a matter of time that we were going to lose the forest. So if you know that you're going to lose a certain side of the map, you have two options. One, you can try and help defend as long as possible, or your other option is help push the other side of the map. And a lot of that comes down to the tiering and the type of tanks that you have left alive on your team. Do they have armor and a lot of hit points left? Are you able to help assist them and help them defend as long as possible? Or if they're going to die really quickly, you might as well push the side of the map that you have an advantage on. Right now, I want to push this STRV, but I only have slightly under 300 hit points now because of the one shot I took from the CDC when he was really aggressive, and that one shot I took from the T-55A. And so I'm waiting for one of my teammates to be really aggressive, that have more HP than I do, and they can afford to take a hit, and our tier 9 bat chat pushes in, takes out the GW Tiger, and that's my cue to move in here and start putting shots into the side and the back of this STRV-103. We're able to get 3 shots of damage into him, and now we are reloading. And it looks like our bat chat and our S4 have that situation handled, so I'm not going to stick around. Kind of risky crossing this B line like I am. The E75 might still have shots on me, so I need to be careful about staying in this depression right here. But now I'm moving back to and sit up here kind of on this ridge where this ISU is currently. There we go, our IS-4 finally kills the STRV-103. I think it was shooting high explosive at him. Our ISU shoots the E5 in the side and gets him tracked, which gives me opportunity to get nice stationary side shots on him. Was about to put my third shot into the side of the T110E5 and saw that the T55A, who had shot me earlier in the game, was a one-shot, and I decided to secure the kill and get his gun out of the fight. When you're trying to prioritize targets and you have multiple enemies that you have a decent chance of penning and you're shooting at, always shoot the lowest health target if at all possible, or the target that is the highest threat to you. So now our tier 9 bat chat is doing some more great work putting flanking pressure on this E75. He isn't able to face his armor towards the tier 9 bat chat, the IS-4, and myself, so one of us was going to get good side shots on him, and then luckily it was myself. And we are up to 4,200 damage, which is a really good result for a SP1C in a tier 10 game, mainly because other than the CDC and the T55A, the enemy team have mostly ignored me, which is a really big mistake in this tank. Don't underestimate the firepower of the SP1C, in its current form anyway. It can put out a lot of damage in a hurry, has decent pen for a tier 7 scout, and the clip reload is pretty short. So I see that the E5 is trying to flank here, trying to get side shots on him, sticking around to see if I would have time to put the final kill shot into him, and unfortunately I tunnel visioned and didn't notice the T57 here on the minimap had moved across, and he was able to get some shots in on me and kill me, unfortunately. So that was the end of my game. I was assuming that the T57 was going to still remain over here on this side of the gully, over here towards the west side in E2 and not so much in E3 as you see here on the minimap. But he did cross over and started peeking down the 3 line and the 4 line, and he saw me and had shots on me, unfortunately. So that is the end of my game, unfortunately. Otherwise, I could have gotten a little bit more damage. Maybe I would have been able to secure the kill on the E5, and maybe I would have gotten more damage here on the T57. So, and I might have ended up with maybe a 5,000 damage game in an SP1C would have been awesome. But woulda, shoulda, coulda, unfortunately, and it was mostly my fault. I wasn't paying attention, and I was tunnel visioning, and I didn't see that the T57 Heavy had moved over. But we are able to play a great role in this game, mostly support role, not so much vision. I did spot the CDC just by direct contact with him, and luckily my teammates here, this tier 1 platoon did some really good work. The 121 backed me up right away when he saw that the enemy CDC had pushed into the center gully here and was all likelihood by himself. So he moved up to support me, and luckily I was able to get some good RNG with lighting the CDC rather on fire. And I got some amazing RNG by ammo racking the Sieg Tiger over here for most of his health, which was awesome. I don't get those nice ammo racks very often. And also I was able to support my teammates whenever they were making a push or flanking an enemy. That's kind of what you have to do when you're bottom tier in a scout. You don't have a lot of hit points, as you saw in this game. I only got shot twice, and then I was a one shot. You don't have a lot of hit points when you're bottom tier, because the enemy tanks have a lot of alpha. Generally, they have more alpha, they have more DPM. Their guns may be more accurate when you're talking about the higher tier mediums and some of the tank destroyers like this STRV. And you just don't have as good a survivability. So you kind of, if you're not able to spot and you're not able to perform much of a vision role for your team, you unfortunately have to play this kind of third line / second line support role, where you let your teammates be aggressive and back them up and help bleed the hit points of the enemy tanks as quickly as possible, so your teammates can kill them and then move on to the next target, is kind of what I tried to do in this game, and it worked out pretty well. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this game. Once again, I have more games that I need to dig through on my folder and see what would be interesting to watch for you guys. I want to thank you guys for watching this game in my SP1C on Murovanka. Happy hunting and take care.